If you're anything like me at all, you probably have times where it's difficult to stay motivated when you're studying a language. What I did to help me through those times was that I discovered these neat little tricks. And these are 3 things that help me stay motivated when I'm studying a language. You actually have all of them in this frame. Number 1 is something warm to drink. In cases where it's summer or where it's just too hot, then I would probably suggest having something cold to drink instead, but that's up to you. The second one is having music. Now, I don't usually listen to music in which the singer is singing in the target language, but what I do listen to is something where I don't have to focus on the music. Either I know it well enough, in that case it means it's probably in English, or there are simply no lyrics. In that case as well, I'm able to just shut it away and do a task like reading, or maybe even write for my master's thesis if I'm doing that as well. But that is just something that helps me stay focused, and it's also a really nice way of just tricking your brain into associating a certain type of music with studying. So I have a couple of different playlists, like I mentioned before, and those are dedicated to each type of situation. Now, the third one you might be able to tell just from the video, but that is watching a YouTuber. Not necessarily me, although if you do like that, then yeah, feel free. But in this video, I figured I would go through some of my favorite YouTubers to watch when I'm struggling with motivation to learn a language. Because there is just something about watching a YouTube video about someone studying that, at least for me, it fills me with this amount of motivation. It could be that they're going through something, talking about something, and then I go back to studying afterwards. Or it could be that they've recorded something like a study with me video where they just sit back and study and there's basically nothing but music in the background. It's just something that, at least while I'm watching that video, I know that, okay, I'm going to be focused on studying, and that really helps. Or maybe they're talking about something that I'm struggling with. It just helps me to know that, yeah, other people are struggling with this as well, and it actually really helps to get through it. Now, whatever type of video you end up watching, that is fine. Yeah, just remember that you're not the only person struggling while learning. It can be simple, but at times it's really difficult to get started with your study session. So here are my 4 YouTubers that I watch while studying. Now, the first one is a YouTuber called Anna Langs. Anna is a girl from Ukraine, but she's currently living in Spain, and she makes videos on, I think I mentioned a video of hers before. She makes videos on Notion setups and how she plans her life with Notion. But another thing that she does is she makes a lot of language learning related content. And she's also a polyglot, which means that she's actually learned several languages. She speaks Russian, she speaks English, Spanish, a bit of Portuguese, and then there are a few other languages as well that she's currently studying or that she's already learned. One thing that I really like about her videos is how she's very open about how her plans keep changing, because she has these large plans for, it could be for the entire year or it could be for a month, but usually you'll find her doing something slightly different. I mean, she'll still be learning, she'll still be productive, actually way more productive than what I usually am, but yeah, she'll still be all these things, but things will just go slightly different than what she had initially planned, and that's fine. She's still managing to improve herself and work on herself, but just sometimes things don't go according to plan. Now, the second one is probably the YouTuber that is the most responsible for me creating my channel. So, I mean, whether or not you're actually liking this, just be nice to her, because I really like watching her videos. Her name is Emmy Grace. Now, Emmy is a half Japanese, half American girl who spent a year studying Spanish, So she went from knowing basically just the basics and then taking the B2 exam. And that happened in about a year. And she documented the entire process with her failures, her normal life, how she managed to balance that with university work and such. She documented that entire journey and also sort of her struggles with either procrastination, doubting herself, and yeah. Nowadays she makes mostly travel videos. However, she is great to watch just in general because she has such a calm personality. I'm not exactly sure a calm personality is correct, but there's just something about the videos and the way that she talks. It just feels less stressful. That is probably how I would describe it. It just feels less stressful. Yeah, I just really like the way that she explains things, and it's also great for just motivation and seeing how far you can actually get in a year as long as you put in the work. Now, the third channel that I'm recommending is one called Livakivi. I think I'm pronouncing that somehow correctly. I think it's also just a made-up name, like neck, and therefore I don't really know if it has a correct pronunciation, but his channel, first of all, it's about a bunch of stuff. At the moment, I think he's currently renovating an old shop to make that sort of his apartment where he lives, and he's documenting that entire process. But he is also an Estonian studying Japanese, and he's gotten to a really great level, so that's super interesting. But despite it not being my preferred method of studying, he makes these great videos on how to use Anki. Now, as I mentioned before, I don't really like using Anki, but somehow while watching his videos, Anki just has this way of creating some nice spreadsheets. I don't know if that's within Anki itself or if that's something that he creates, but he has these really nice spreadsheets. They're so incredibly satisfying to watch. Yeah, just watching that leaves me just feeling very motivated to keep going with my own things. Now, he doesn't really show his face, but despite all that, I don't really feel like it lacks anything. And the videos are awesome. And yeah, I really like them. Now, the last one I've saved is Shay Jordan's channel. Now, Shay is an American girl who is currently living in Italy, and she's studying Italian as well, and she's been doing that for a few years. She has videos on how she fits that into her daily life, and also just useful tricks to use while studying, and also some helpful videos in terms of how to use apps. And at least she used to be a very big advocate of Buzu, which is, to my understanding, similar to Duolingo, but just it really shows you how much you can learn from using some of these apps, provided that you're actually doing other things as well on the side. Now, she also has this really calm voice, which, yeah, it just leaves me feeling like, okay, I don't need to stress with anything, I can take things at my own pace, and eventually things will work out. Now, these were my recommendations, and I feel like I should probably add in an honorable mention at the end, which is sort of my own channel. If you feel like you could actually benefit from watching some of these channels and you're struggling with motivation, then maybe it might be worth checking out some of the other videos that I'm making as well. Trying to improve when it comes to filmmaking, and yeah, at least in the long haul, it should be worth sticking around. And if I can help people stay motivated, then yeah, I think I'm doing my job. Now, if you are currently struggling with creating your own study routine, then I would just like to mention that, yeah, I do have a mini-series on that, and it might be worth checking that out if you're going through that process. Now, as always, best of luck with your studies, and neck out.